In a brand new era, Jean Grey is the Phoenix once and for all, and she's travelling the cosmos to use her power to save the entire universe.
What do they call you? Wheels?
Hi everyone, it's One Way to X here, and From the Ashes continues this week with Phoenix issue 1. However, there is some unfortunate controversy surrounding it, so join me as I break that down and the story all for you in this video. Written by Stephanie Phillips with art by Alessandro Miraculo, this issue begins with a star flaring up. There is a narrator, who is not Jean, who talks about being raised to believe in a god and to be subservient to them. We then see a people on a planet below reacting to the sun and believing this is their chance to prove themselves to their god. The narrator we learn is Adani, a young girl at this point, and her father is their people's leader, someone tortured by his past and driven to rule by fear and hatred, and he hates nothing more than the Phoenix. It's at this point that Jean Grey arrives on this planet, to the horror of all of these people. All they know of the Phoenix are the stories they have been told, consuming suns, killing billions, etc, etc. Adani, the narrator, recalls this as the first time she ever encountered Jean Grey and considers this a pivotal moment in her life. Adani's father confronts Jean, ready to accept that she's here to kill them all. But no, Jean is not here to kill them all, she's here to save them all from their sun exploding. So, as Phoenix absorbs the energy of the dying sun, Adani tells the story of Jean's origin, how it was the death of her best friend Annie that triggered Jean's psychic powers and left her comatose. This experience allowed Jean to build such a strong connection with the Phoenix, as it was built from fire and ash. And I love this particular reframing of the story with Jean and the Phoenix, and I think tying the Phoenix to the very conception of Jean's powers is very interesting, cool, and a bit mythological. We're then taken to Ton 618, a black hole, and the prison inside, Kiln 2. Now, the black hole is on the verge of collapsing, and Nova and the guards are trying to figure out a way to save all the prisoners. Except some of the prisoners have also escaped in the ruckus, including Morg, a former Herald of Galactus, who tries to take down Nova. Back with Jean, she's having a conversation with Scott, who's on Earth in Alaska, half a galaxy away. She's frustrated by how people are afraid of her as the Phoenix, but he's more impressed by how she stopped the sun from exploding. Through her telepathy, their minds are intertwined, and while it's nice, Scott really does miss Jean and asks when she'll be back. And Jean just doesn't know. Not yet, anyway. And seeing as this whole book is about Jean in space, we can hope that she'll be out here for a little while longer at least. But she does appreciate the modifier Blackbird Scott gave her as a gift to remind her of home. This will be her base, even though she doesn't need one because she is a cosmic being after all. Whilst their conversation is nice, it does get cut short by Nova, who sends out a distress signal. Now, I do want to make a joke about Dick Ryder and Cockblock, but I can't exactly make the connection, so just imagine. Back at the Kiln 2, one of the prisoners begs for their life when they cross paths with Pericus, a minor Thor villain, who murders him and makes his way to the escape bay. Meanwhile, Nova is defeated and about to be killed by Morg when Phoenix arrives at the very last second to save the day. She catches herself up with everything that's been going on and vows to stabilize the black hole because, she's already stopped a dying star, so what more is a black hole? But how might you stabilize a black hole, you might ask? Well, Jean essentially becomes the black hole, joining the cosmos in a dance until they become one, and then she asks the universe to stabilize the black hole. And it does. Simple as, right? This moment alone is incredible, as the Ton 618 black hole, a real black hole, is 66 billion times the mass of our sun. And so through this, Jean essentially proves to the galaxy and to the reader that she is the Phoenix. But now is not the time to start celebrating, as Nova alerts Jean that Pericus has escaped, and so she goes off to stop him. But then, the prison is about to explode, so Jean has to make a choice. Does she save all the prisoners, or stop Pericus? Jean ultimately lets her humanity win as she saves the prisoners and allows Pericus to escape into the cosmos. And the god who once defeated Thor lands on a planet and comes face to face with Adani. Her father tries to warn Pericus off, but he just kills him. And this is the consequence of Jean Grey's actions. The bonus digital page, which is featured in every #1 issue of this era, has Adani contemplating the cost of redemption. We see a few glimpses of the future of this book, including Jean facing off against Gore the God Butcher, and we see adult Adani, who is in her Gamora era, with a giant sword. She is the Phoenix's new villain, and she will be hunting Jean down. I think it's really interesting to have two Thor villains, Gore and Pericus, face off against Jean in this series. Personally, I think it might be a reference to Chris Claremont's original concept for Phoenix in 1976 for her to be as powerful as Thor. Now, Marvel editorial wouldn't allow Thor to be beaten by a woman, so she faced off against Firelord instead, who had previously beaten Thor himself. So by having Phoenix fight Thor villains, Phillips is once again saying Phoenix is stronger than Thor, but I think we knew that already. Now, before we get to the review, I need to talk about the art controversy surrounding its book and its artist, Alessandro Miraculo. So it's been discovered that Miraculo has been directly tracing other artists' work and putting it into this book. It started with these panels of Storm from Olivier Coipel's work on Avengers vs X-Men and House of M, respectively, and then I noticed this trace from Stuart Immonen's All New X-Men. Since then, another House of M trace has been found, and even in the preview for the second issue, there have been more traces noted. This is also not limited to Phoenix, however, as in Miraculo's previous work, White Widow, there was also some tracing of House of M in the book. Now, at the time of recording, it's quite early days, so nothing has been discussed openly by Marvel yet. And while it's not technically illegal since it's all Marvel's work, it does feel highly inappropriate to be using other artists' work so clearly over and over again. For the sake of the rest of the creative team, I just hope this doesn't impact the book too much. Personally, I found this issue to be really enjoyable. In contrast to X-Men, it feels a lot more forward-thinking, it feels fresh and new and exciting. Phillips crafts a good story, and I'm enjoying the reframing of the Phoenix and Jean relationship. Honestly, my only gripe is that the narrator was not Jean. However, I could understand if you argued that we wouldn't be able to properly understand Phoenix Jean, and so we need to view her through another character. That aside, the tracing does put a downer on the whole issue and the art, as I particularly enjoyed it, but am I really surprised if 90% of it is actually Olivier Coipel's art? With all that in mind, I'm giving this a ranking of 7. But what do you think about this issue? The character, the stories, and the controversy around the art? Let me know down below in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next video.